Welcome class to week 12, and then for this week we are going to do a big leap from 1845 all the way to the early 1900s. So we're going to cover the first 3 decades, what's happening in the US in relation to Mexico and also in relation to Mexican Americans who have been living in the US right after the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo that took place in 1848. So you're gonna add about 80 years. So you have about 2 generations of Mexican Americans living in the US. But going back a little bit, and I'm wanting to start maybe 10 years before 1900s. The US continues to expand, the US continues to grow, and by the beginning of the early 1900s, we are already a superpower. We get tremendous amount of fame because of the Spanish-American War, and that's when the US decides to help Cuba to get rid of Spain for good. Not only Cuba, but you also have the Philippines. But because this class deals with Mexican Americans, it's really important to understand that at that time, the US is already in Mexico, and not only Mexico, throughout Latin America. And this is the beginning of the US expanding and enforcing the old doctrine that goes by the name of the Monroe Doctrine. America, the US, does not want any European nations to come back into the Americas because now the US feels that they have to police every nation in Latin America. And not only police, also investing. The US controls a lot of the agro-business, and this is the beginning of the banana industry. So I'm going to use this map that I have right here to show you the pulls and pull factors. Every time that you see an economic boom, this is World War I, the US needs labor. And that's how we're going to understand this flow of migration into the US, because it becomes a pull factor to point Mexicanos into the US. And at this time, we have an economic boom in the agro business, mining, and the railroad. But also coincides with the Chinese Exclusion Act, because that cheap labor is no longer wanted in the US. And who replaces that labor? Mexicanos. Now, early 1900s, the first decades, Mexico is fighting a nasty civil war, which is La Revolución Mexicana. And you have about 1 million Mexicanos who are coming into the US. That's very significant. It's not that they're welcome on a red carpet. There's a lot of segregation, and that's something that we're going to cover this week. Mexicanos were segregated the same way blacks were segregated. The black codes after the Civil War spilled over throughout the Southwest. So we're going to get to watch the documentary, The Lemon Grove Incident, local here in San Diego. It became one of the first cases of the segregation in California, where Mexicanos throughout the Southwest, from San Diego through Texas, Mexicanos were sent to a second class school. Most of them were burns. They did not really care about their education, and that's something that we're going to cover in the Lemon Grove Incident, which is the film for this week. And that's going to be it for the week. There's no reading response. Why? Because we have the Veterans Day coming up. It gets in the way. And then I decided also to give you a break. That's all for now, and I'm looking forward to getting to see your responses that deals with the Lemon Grove Incident. Take care. Bye.